For test ID 6, it was important to show how easy it is to manage and schedule the planned audits for the next several years. We're going to show you how you can manage this process within the system. We'll start off by showing you the visibility you will gain when you have all the audits in your system and how you can visualize data in an easy and actionable format. We'll then review a project template and how these can be leveraged to simplify the planning and creation of projects by having pre-configured audits that can be reused for new audits. Next, we'll demonstrate a planning board, which is technically a Kanban board. But if you aren't familiar with that term, you can think of it like a digital whiteboard with sticky notes. This is where the system will house all the known audits that are approaching, and we'll demonstrate how they can be reviewed and queued up for project creation. After a project is created, we will then show you how you can visualize the capacity of an FAO office location in order to continue with the planning process. Please note, this video also overlaps with some of the requirements such as workload capacity, role-based dashboards, and automations. The audit overview provides the user with an interactive experience that allows the visualizations to be filtered on the fly. For demo purposes, we have included several filters which you can utilize in order to find the information you are looking for, and can combine these filters to get very specific results based on region, office, status, and start date. From there, we can see various metrics on the screen. For example, we have audits by status and type, and have included other audit metrics such as major business audits, start dates, etc. Now this view is great for a complete view of all audits and would be fitting for someone at the global headquarters. But each regional office would want to see the items that matter for them, so they would filter by their region. Finally, we know that in order to make decisions related to the 3-year planning for the office, Fred, FAO manager, would want to just visualize the items in his office, so he can do that from here as well. Once Freddie has done that, he has a bird's eye view of everything from his office, and can now use additional filters to view prior year's audits and make sure that he has the information he needs in order to proceed with his 3-year planning. The Lean Core tab is where you can administer templates and see all of the projects and folders. Expanding the Templates folder allows us to see each of the different templates that we have created based on public DCAA audit types. If we open up a template, we can see that the system allows us to put in a Gantt view, as well as Kanban boards and whiteboards as options, among other things. Opening up the Gantt view, we can see all of our activities listed on the left-hand side of the screen, with different columns of information related to them. What's important here is that we have resource types that are associated with each activity, and this is how the system will be able to relate the capacity as projects are created. We can also add in more columns of information, which provide even more functionality. We'll add in Discuss, Files, Risk, and Stickers. Discuss allows us to collaborate on projects with others on the team using what is known as Salesforce Chatter, which is like an internal instant messaging system. This is a great feature as it is all tracked and reportable and keeps communication in one spot. Files allows us to upload files related to the specific activities. Risk allows us to mark where there could be issues related to the project along with the means to mitigate. And Stickers is a visualization tool that allows us to mark significant things for an activity, as well as trigger automations. Over to the right, we see our activities in a waterfall view, and the blue lines indicate the various dependencies which relate them together. Clicking on the dependency allows us to update or delete information regarding that dependency. Activities are easy to add, as you can see, and they can even be cloned, which makes creating them even faster. Let's head over to the planning board to see what that looks like. In our planning board, we have created some example audits. During a production environment, these things would get triggered by your predetermined business logic, such as contract end dates, change in terms, or whatever other rules you decide make sense to put these requests into the board. In your POC environment, you have the ability to add them manually via form on the home page for testing purposes. From here, we can review information that is in the card about the request by clicking on the Card Info button. Here we've kept it brief, however you can configure the system to add in additional fields if you need to. For example, we can see here a link to the triggering contract. Now that we've reviewed the details, we decide it's okay to conduct the audit, and we'll drag it over into the correct lane. This will kick off some automation which will create the audit, and using the template that is specific to this particular type of audit. We see that the audit has been created when the card is changed color along with the category. From here, we can now go directly into the project and start assigning resources. However, before we do this, we would want to check on our capacity at an office level. So in addition to the reporting which we had looked at earlier, we also have the ability to get granular down to the resource level and see what type of capacity we have for our office's projects. Right away, we can see that there are some issues with our capacity in March and April, so we'll change the view to a smaller period so that we can identify exactly when these issues are happening. On the left-hand side, we can see that we only have one FAO manager and one lead auditor, both of whom are over-allocated for those dates. We can now either change the dates for these activities, see if there is someone from another office, or bring in a contractor to assist with these audits. Using these views in conjunction with historical reporting will make it very easy for you to work with the HR department on what additional resources need to be onboarded to that office. Now that we've gotten a handle on the capacity planning, we can return to the project page where we can learn about scheduling resources. We'll get into greater details on the project page and all the bells and whistles in the demand bucket video, so for now we'll just focus primarily on the resource assignment. Once we open up the Gantt, there are several ways to assign our resources. The first and most automated would be to use our Assign Resources quick action. A quick action is an example of how the product is extensible, meaning that you can configure things like the following form to make additional automation and a better user experience. When the modal opens up, we see that we can allow the system to automate the scheduling, or we can select a resource from only the available resources. We'll select one so that we can show you how this works. Once I click Next, we can see a list of people who are open for that day, and we can select one. Here, I'll choose Aaron. We can see that he's now replaced the resource type. Now the second method is more manual, but we'll show you how you can quickly update multiple records. Here, I will select 6 records and update the assigned resources all at once. Finally, we'll show you how, using our resource utilization tool, you can see how easy it is to fix some conflicts within the system. Once this is open on the project, you can see that there are some conflicts. I'll pull up the resource schedule, and then I'll simply drag some overlap over to someone who has availability for this, and you can see how the red goes away for that user and time period. And that wraps up this segment of the demonstration. Thank you for watching.